The Philadelphia Eagles just nuked their own roster, and honestly, it's a move that will either define their next Super Bowl run or go down as a total disaster. We are looking at a massive shakeup, the final nail in the coffin of a legendary era, and some cold, hard truths about why the front office had to cut ties with a franchise superstar. Before we dive into the fallout of these massive moves, smash that subscribe button right now if you want the fastest, no-nonsense NFL updates on the planet. Let's be real for a second. The writing was on the wall, but seeing it officially happen still stings. The Philadelphia Eagles have officially parted ways with legendary defensive end Brandon Graham. This isn't just another roster transaction. This is the end of a long-standing chapter for a guy who has been the heartbeat of this defense for years. Now, here's the big question that every fan is asking. Was this just a technicality to clear cap space, or is the door actually wide open for a return? If you look at how the front office operates, this feels like a classic procedural move. By waiting until after the June 1st deadline, the team was able to structure their salary cap in a way that provides maximum flexibility. They didn't even make a big team announcement about it, which tells you everything you need to know. It was all about the numbers. But let's get into the nitty-gritty. Is it actually smart to bring him back on a team-friendly deal? Look at his production last year. Even in his 16th season, the man was an absolute machine in limited snaps. He racked up 3 sacks and 2 tackles for loss in just over 100 snaps. When you look at this current roster, specifically along the defensive line, there's a clear need for someone who can step in as a rotational piece and bring some veteran juice. Think about it. When Jalen Carter was off the field last year, the interior pass rush took a massive hit. Graham provided the perfect spark. He's a bully at the point of attack. He sets the edge like a brick wall, and he still knows exactly how to collapse a pocket when it matters most. There were only 5 guys in the entire league who generated more sacks than him per snap last season. That is not luck. That is high-level football IQ. Who's to blame for the lack of depth if they don't bring it back? Is the current rotation ready to step up, or are they just hoping for the best? Drop a name in the comments below. Who do you think needs to step up at the edge position this season? Now, let's pivot to the elephant in the room, the A.J. Brown trade. I know it hurts. Watching a 3-time All-Pro walk out the door is never easy. In his time with the Birds, he wasn't just a receiver. He was a dominant force. He was the guy you looked at on 3rd and long and knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that he was going to come down with the ball. But why would a team trade away one of the most explosive weapons in the game? The front office had to look at the cold, hard reality of the situation. You aren't just managing talent. You are managing a locker room, a salary cap, and the future of the organization. Conversations were had, and it became clear that the relationship had simply run its course. It wasn't about hating the player. It was about acknowledging that the goals of the franchise and the desires of the player were no longer moving in the same direction. By pulling the trigger on this trade, the team secured a first-round pick and some much-needed breathing room under the cap. When you're looking to extend your core young players, you have to make those tough decisions. It is the definition of a business decision in the NFL. Some people might call it a betrayal of the fan base, but in reality, it's a masterclass in long-term team building. And let's talk about the rumors. We've all heard the whispers about offensive frustrations, issues with coaching, and the chemistry inside that locker room. Was it really just one thing, or was it a buildup of 1,000 little things? The reality is usually more complicated than what we see on Sunday afternoons. But one thing is for sure, when a player is checked out, you can feel the energy drop on the field. That lack of cohesion is a death sentence in this league. But wait until you hear what the veteran leaders on the team are saying about life after this trade. If you look at the comments coming out of the locker room, particularly from guys like Jordan Mailata, you get a glimpse into how the rest of the team is feeling. It sounds harsh, but the sentiment is essentially, thank goodness this saga is over. Think about the mental toll of a situation where you don't know if it's going to see next month.
It really dictates the defense.
It's a slow-burning fire that eventually consumes the focus of the entire offensive unit. The team clearly felt that weight last year. Now, the page is turned. And let me tell you, the front office hasn't been sitting on their hands. They have been incredibly active in rebuilding that wide receiver room. You look at the moves they've made, trading up to get new talent, elevating guys like Devonta Smith to that WR1 role, and bringing in speed threats to keep defensive coordinators up at night. They are building a collective unit. The philosophy seems to have shifted from feed the superstar to overwhelm the defense with depth and versatility. They have young guys like Johnny Wilson and Darius Cooper hungry to prove they belong in this league. When you have an offense that is built on the collective, you become much harder to scout and much harder to stop. Don't buy into the doom and gloom. Yes, losing a guy like A.J. Brown is a massive change, but change is the only constant in the NFL. Look at the defensive additions. Look at the draft capital they have accumulated. This is a team that is positioning itself to be competitive not just for 1 year, but for the next 3 to 5 years. The defense is getting faster, the offense is getting more unpredictable, and the locker room is finally purged of that distraction energy. That is how you build a championship culture. You don't keep guys around just because of what they did in the past. You keep them around because of what they are going to do for your future. The expectations in Philadelphia are always sky high, and rightfully so. The fans deserve a winner, and the front office is doing whatever it takes to ensure that this team remains a top-tier contender. They've got the cap space, they've got the draft picks, and they have a clear vision of what this team is supposed to look like. Is it going to be a bumpy ride? Probably. Is it going to be a learning curve for some of these younger receivers? Absolutely. But if you look at the trajectory, the Eagles are setting themselves up for a massive payoff. They aren't settling for good enough. They're swinging for the fences, and in the NFL, that's exactly the kind of energy you need to hoist the Lombardi Trophy. So, ignore the noise and the dramatic headlines. This is about the evolution of a football team. It's about being smart, staying flexible, and doing what is necessary to put the best possible group of men on the field. The Eagles are in a transition period, sure, but it is a calculated, aggressive transition that should have every fan excited for what's coming next. Stay tuned. Keep your eyes on the practice field and get ready for a season that is going to be defined by grit, depth, and a whole lot of intensity. We're just getting started, and the best is yet to come. Catch you in the next one.